Welcome to our channel, folks. Today, we're diving deep into something that's often misunderstood: mental health. We're gonna tackle those stubborn myths head on and lay down the facts. Plain and simple. Now let's be clear. Mental health is just as important as your physical health. It's all connected, and it's time we start treating it that way. We're gonna clear the air and get real about what mental health is and what it isn't. Get ready to have your mind blown, because we're about to bust some myths wide open. You with me? Let's do this. Now, some folks out there believe that mental illness is some rare thing. Let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. Millions upon millions of people around the world struggle with mental health issues every single day. It's like this. You wouldn't whisper about someone having the flu, would you? Mental illness is no different. It's a health issue, plain and simple. We gotta break down these walls of stigma and shame. Ignoring the problem won't make it go away. It's time to face it head on and get people the help they need. And that starts with understanding how common mental health struggles really are. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are people out there who understand what you're going through, and there's help available. All right. Let's talk about this ridiculous idea that mental health issues equal weakness. This is one of the most damaging myths out there, folks. Listen, struggling with your mental health doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean you're any less than anyone else. It simply means you're human. Life throws curveballs at all of us. Some of us get hit harder than others. It's what you do after you get knocked down that counts. Seeking help when you're struggling takes guts. It takes strength. So let's stop equating mental health struggles with weakness and start celebrating the courage it takes to reach out for support. Now, there's this misconception that therapy is only for folks who are, really struggling. But let me tell you something. Therapy can benefit everyone, no matter where you're at in life. Think of it like this. You go to the doctor for a checkup even when you're feeling fine, right? Therapy's the same way. It's about preventative maintenance for your mental well-being. It's a safe space to talk through your problems, work through challenges, and develop coping mechanisms. It's about personal growth, folks. So whether you're going through a tough time or just want to improve your overall well-being, don't hesitate to seek out therapy. It's a sign of strength, not weakness. Let's get real about kids and mental health. Some folks believe that children are immune to mental health problems, but that's just not true. Kids have feelings too, folks. They experience stress, anxiety, and even depression, just like adults do. The difference is, they often don't have the words to express what they're going through. That's why it's crucial for parents, teachers, and caregivers to be aware of the signs of mental health issues in children. Early intervention is key. If you notice a child struggling, don't brush it off. Get them the help they need. Early intervention can make a world of difference in a child's life. Here's another myth we gotta bust. The idea that mental illness is a life sentence. That once you're diagnosed, that's it, game over. That's simply not true. With the right treatment, support, and self-care, people can and do recover from mental illness. And even for those who manage it as a chronic condition, recovery is always possible. It's about finding the right combination of therapy, medication if needed, and lifestyle changes that work for you. Don't give up hope. Recovery is a journey, not a destination. And with the right support, you can live a full and meaningful life regardless of your diagnosis. Now let's talk about medication. There's this misconception that medication is the only solution for mental health issues. But the truth is, it's rarely a one-size-fits-all approach. Medication can be helpful for some people, but it's not always necessary. And even when it is, it's often most effective when combined with therapy and lifestyle changes. Think of it like this. If you had a broken leg, you wouldn't just take painkillers and expect it to heal on its own, right? You'd need a cast, physical therapy, and time to recover. Mental health is no different. It often requires a multifaceted approach to treatment. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. The myth that people with mental illness are violent or dangerous. This one's rooted in fear and stigma, and it's simply not true. The vast majority of people with mental illness are not violent and are more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators. Mental illness doesn't discriminate. It can affect anyone, regardless of their background, beliefs, or character. It's time to stop perpetuating harmful stereotypes and start treating people with mental illness with the compassion and understanding they deserve. You know, stress gets a bad rap. And while chronic stress can definitely be harmful, not all stress is bad. In fact, some stress can be beneficial. Think about it. A little bit of pressure can be motivating. It can push us to perform better and achieve our goals. The key is to find a healthy balance. Learn to manage stress effectively, and don't let it control your life. Remember, it's all about finding what works for you. Some people thrive under pressure, while others need a more laid-back approach. Figure out what works best for you and roll with it. All right, let's talk about this whole snap out of it mentality when it comes to mental health. If only it were that easy, right? Look, mental health conditions are not something you can just willpower your way out of. It's not about lacking willpower or choosing to feel a certain way. It's about brain chemistry, life experiences, and a whole host of other factors. Telling someone to snap out of it is like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. It's not helpful and it's not realistic, so let's ditch the judgment and offer support instead. Here's another myth that needs to be debunked. The idea that mental health problems are a sign of bad parenting. Listen, parenting is hard work, and no one's perfect. But blaming parents for their child's mental health struggles is not only unfair, it's also inaccurate. Mental health issues are complex. They result from a complex interplay of factors, including genetics, environment, and life experiences. So instead of pointing fingers, let's focus on providing support and understanding to both individuals with mental health conditions and their families. Now let's talk about mental health and employment. There's this misconception that people with mental health issues can't hold down a job, but that's simply not true. Many people with mental health conditions successfully manage their symptoms and have thriving careers. It's about finding the right support, accommodations, and work-life balance. Employers also have a role to play in creating a supportive and inclusive work environment for employees with mental health conditions. Remember, a mental health condition doesn't have to define your career path. Mental illness is real, period. This one really gets under my skin, folks. The myth that mental illness isn't real, that it's all in your head. Let me tell you something. Mental illnesses are real health conditions, just like heart disease or diabetes. They have physical and emotional symptoms that can be debilitating. Dismissing someone's mental health struggles as all in their head is not only insensitive, it's harmful. It prevents people from seeking help and perpetuates stigma. Mental illness is real, and it deserves to be treated with the same seriousness as any other health condition. All right, let's talk about suicide. This is a tough one, but it's crucial to address. There's a dangerous myth out there that talking about suicide will encourage it. But the truth is, the exact opposite is true. Talking openly and honestly about suicide can actually help prevent it. It reduces stigma, encourages people to seek help, and lets them know they're not alone. If you're concerned about someone, don't be afraid to ask them directly if they're thinking about suicide. It could save their life. PTSD. It's not just a veterans issue. Let's talk about PTSD. There's this misconception that it only affects veterans or first responders, but the truth is, PTSD can affect anyone who has experienced a traumatic event. It could be a car accident, a natural disaster, sexual assault, or any other event that causes intense fear, helplessness, or horror. It's important to remember that trauma affects everyone differently. There's no right or wrong way to respond to a traumatic event. If you're struggling with PTSD, know that you're not alone, and there's help available. Now let's talk about self-care. There's this myth floating around that self-care is selfish. But let me tell you something. Taking care of your mental and emotional well-being is essential. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. And it's crucial for living a healthy and fulfilling life. Self-care can involve anything from taking a relaxing bath, to spending time in nature, to setting boundaries with toxic people. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself so you can be there for the people you love. We've covered a lot of ground today, folks, but we're not done yet. There's so much more to learn about mental health, and we're just getting started. Stay tuned for more myth-busting, fact-checking, and straight talk about mental health. This is a conversation that matters.